Good morrow, dear naps, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Jocelyn. I'm happy to have you here. Yes, if you're new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let's do it automatically because I could always use some more subscribers. Anyway, so today we are going to be doing our makeup like usual, and we're going to be talking about a subject like usual. What subject are we talking about today, you might ask? Mirror neurons. How cool, right? I bet you all heard of them before. They're so popular. Let's get started. We're gonna be doing watercolor makeup. I figured, mirrors, reflections. What else is a reflection? Water, except for I don't want to do all of the cool lighter lines and the darker lines and the underwater look because that looks really difficult and I don't have an airbrusher. So instead we're gonna do watercolor because watercolor is pretty fun. And yeah, it's a little off to the side of the topic, but I think it'll work. So let's get started with some primer and hope blue fingers and red fingers on this hand do not influence the color of the primer. Maybe I should actually use a brush this time. Maybe, nope. We're gonna wing it. I'm gonna use the last legs of my Mary Kay primer here. It smooths everything out, creates a nice layer, a nice base to which your foundation can stick on. I don't know, I'm not a professional here. Welcome. I do internet research instead and wing it most of the time. This curl is probably gonna be here all day today. Every time I try and sweep it up, it just directly back, so I'm sorry. You're probably gonna see me playing with it a lot. I'm gonna try not to. We're gonna get our foundation out. I'm using the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better and rubbing my hand all in it. This is shade Fair Neutral 11. I'm gonna pump some on the back of my hand, use my beauty blender to get it in my skin. Let's talk mirror neurons. So mirror neurons are a specific type of neuron. Now you might be asking, Jocelyn, I'm here for the makeup, not for the learning. But I'm why can't we do both? So mirror neurons, if you don't know what a neuron is, if you've heard of a nerve cell before, or you know anything about nerves, neurons are little bitty things that kind of make up nerves. So if you've ever seen that picture of the little spiky thing, oh, this is leftover makeup, by the way. It's my eye chart for this. Anyway, if you've seen nerve cells before, they look like little spiky things and then they have little arms reaching out. And some of the arms take stuff in and some of the arms spit stuff out. So they create pathways throughout the body, sending signals all over. Sometimes it's to your spinal cord or muscles, or sometimes it's to your brain, depending. Mirror neurons are a specific type of neuron in your body, and they send signals to your brain. Come on, Curl. You're really trying to defy gravity right now. I'm gonna let it have its independence and just kind of move it around for now. So neuron cells are actually pretty darn recent, and in regards to when things have been discovered scientifically, we're talking 1990s, which is for science very recent. So not a whole lot has been studied on them, but there is a chunk of fun stuff that I think people are discovering and looking into. I'm going to be using my Laura Mercier translucent powder. And fun fact, I've tested this on a couple different skin tones now. This stuff is actually pretty translucent, it does not leave chalky aftertones. So that's really awesome. I am very much enjoying this. I got mine at Ulta. And our neuron cell was discovered because some breed of monkey, which from the articles that I looked at, which will be linked below along with all the products, there was some discrepancy on what type of monkey it is. But basically, this monkey was in a lab hooked up to little electrodes. I don't know what they were trying to study with it. Maybe they were just looking for brain patterns or wave patterns in the brain with the monkey. But there was a scientist in there, and one of the stories says that the scientist was eating food. I'm gonna go with that story, but that might not be accurate. Let me know down in the comments if you know a different version. So scientist was eating food and looked over at the scanner and noticed that the monkey's brain was lighting up. Makes sense. Mr. Food Motivated Monkey was lighting up his brain scans, and the scientist realized that not only was it ooh, food, that looks good, but the parts of the brain that were responsible for the activity of eating and like picking up food and putting it in their mouth was also lighting up as if the monkey was also eating food. This monkey was probably just sitting there staring at the person eating food, and the scientist was like, whoa, what the heck is going on? Thinking of which, what the heck is going on? I've got to put on my Nars Leguna bronzer. Wait, do I have any pimples that I need to hide? Or pimples that I should be worried about? I'm not doing too bad. I am going to do a little under eye. I should have done this before I put on my setting powder, so I will have to go back and do that, but actually not doing too bad on the skin front today. Anybody else's skin feeling pretty good? All right, I'll blend that in. So the scientist was like, dude, what's going on here? You're not eating food. Why is your brain saying you're eating food? Looking further into it, the mirror neurons were discovered. It's like imitation. It's about imitation, but it also ties into emotion. I'm going back in with the powder. Mirror neurons specifically activate when feeling or doing, but they also activate while watching somebody else feel or do something. So it's kind of neat. So while you're feeling happy because you just got an ice cream and you're also like eating an ice cream cone, right? Your brain kind of stores that happiness tied with that motion. And then when it sees somebody else doing that same motion, eating an ice cream cone and looking happy, your brain says, oh, we've done that before, and does like the same neural pathway of ice cream cone, happy. So you might find yourself mimicking. Mimicry is like super huge in the animal kingdom. If you can't tell, I'm really excited about this topic today. I think it's super cool. Anyway, back to the Nars Leguna bronzer real quick. I'm gonna just start dusting that puppy on. Watercolor is gonna be limited to the eyes and lips. I am not doing another last week video where I attempt to do it everywhere, because it doesn't look right. Link to that video up there. Oh, what are you? Not visible enough for me to worry about it right now. That's how visible. Also going to be breaking into the Jouer Rose Gold Blush Duo, and I'm going to be using shade Rose Petal, this one right here. And just dust it on, really light, natural, beautiful, just like you and your beautiful self. Oh yeah, perfect. We love it. You're a queen. Ooh, that was really nice. Okay, that made me happy. So scientists believe that these mirror neurons are actually the key to empathy. Like, how freaking cool is this? I started reading about them in this like empathy book that I'm reading, and I'll also put that name of that book down there too. And I'd never heard of them before, but it makes so much sense because like humans are constantly mimicking. Usually if somebody is experiencing something like a large emotion, we mimic it to a degree. And it's because this brain pathway says, they look sad. I remember a time when I was sad and I also looked like that. And then it kind of puts that image in your head and then it makes you feel a little sad too, right? So it's that this affects this affects this. So it's a big circle because then you put that out there for somebody else again and they might also be affected by it, right? Hi, Andrea. Let's do some eyebrows. So I'm gonna go with a little bit of a darker eyebrow today, I think, but I'm kind of keeping it to the not super crazy sculpted right now. So I'm gonna go with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Eyebrow Mascara in shade Ebony, which is a very deep brown. And dropping, oh no, I dropped it in the color. I spent so long getting that color. You're not doing this to me. I dropped the color all over it. If you're having a really hard time visualizing this whole thing, because it's a lot of information and I'm just throwing it at you, I'm gonna tell you a quick little story and I wanna know your reaction at the end of it. Let me know down in the comments if your reaction happens. So, I'm walking along and I'm trying to get my cat because she's just running around, and all of a sudden while I'm trying to pick her up and grab her because she's being mischievous, she runs like real close to the cabinet, and when I go to grab her, I jam my finger in that cabinet. Okay, now, pause. When I told that story, did you immediately go, ooh, either flinching or immediately kind of curl up, have some sort of reaction that your brain maybe said, oh, jamming a finger doesn't feel good, and maybe didn't quite give you pain, but your body reacted to it just with me saying it and kind of physicalizing it? That's your mirror neurons, baby. That is them. Sorry, I'm real excited right now, guys. I have not been this excited about a subject in a minute. Andrea, that's my light source. If I go dark, all of a sudden, you know why. It's my cat. I have to stay focused. Jocelyn, stay focused. Highlight. I do need highlight. You know, I don't want to do something crazy, so I'm going to use my ColorPop Bullseye highlight, which is kind of like a gold tone. And I'm just gonna swipe it on. It is like a stick highlight, which I'm getting more used to. I'm just using a fluffy brush to kind of work it in. Usually I use my finger, but my finger is covered in color, so I don't want to add that color on yet, which means I can't finger paint, but it's fine. It's fine. Now I've got that on. I look beautiful. You look beautiful. Let's get to the eye. So, wow. I just banged my finger on the table. Did you make a face there? Because that's your mirror neurons. That wasn't purposeful. I'm going to be using James Charles' Morphe Artistry palette. And I have these colors here. So I have the like standard red color, his like hot pink and his baby pink color, his white shade, his like really pretty ocean blue shade, and then his like shimmery sky blue, his like sunshiny yellow, and also this orangey shade, which is looking a lot more pastel on the camera than it is in person. It's a little bit more like pumpkin-y. And I have them put on a... This is how my hand keeps getting stuff. I keep like blowing the powder everywhere. So I took the palette and I shaved off a little bit of the color and put it on this so that when I mix it with water, I don't have to worry about it breaking down my palette from over mixing, and I also don't have to worry about the color getting too saturated to the point where it won't really be a watercolor. This time around, I'm proud to say I'm actually using water and not rubbing alcohol. So we won't have to worry as much. I am using like brushes, like watercolor brushes, because I figured if we're gonna go legit, we should not use the makeup brushes and we should try and paint it on our face like adults, because that's what adults do, right? They paint on their face. I'm all over the place today. So I'm gonna start, what I'm gonna do with my inner corner first is I'm gonna go with more of a pinky shade, and then I'm gonna transition it somewhere in between the pink and the blue. We're gonna mix a little bit, it's gonna go purpley, and then the end should be that like deep ocean blue, and then I'm gonna figure out how to incorporate the sky blue and maybe some little pops of yellow in there as well. But that's like the basic outline of what I have, and then the pinks and the reds and the whites are going to be more focused for the lips. I've got my little like shot glass of water here, and I'm dipping my brush in, and basically what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start with this hot pink over here, and I'm gonna pull some of that pigment and just try and get the water to mix with it so that it forms like a paste. We've done this before. I frequently paint with my eyeshadows. Be careful though, because if you're using eyeshadow pigment, when you dip your brush in the water, the eyeshadow pigment will float at the top, and sometimes that can stick to your brush when you go back in for some more water, so if you switch colors, just be aware. I am not really gonna worry so much about using an eyeshadow primer this time. Purposefully instead of accidentally. I don't know how well it would work anyway. Usually eyeshadow primers, I think, are more of like an oil base. My canvas is my skin, and the foundation and powder that I have placed on it. So let's go with this inner corner here and just start to like watercolor in our eyes. So why do scientists believe that we have these neurons? They seem interesting enough, and other animals obviously have them too, like monkeys. But why do we have them? It seems like kind of annoying at times. Like if you're not hurting, you don't really want to feel pain. And sometimes in some people, I think that, this is my own personal theory by the way, I feel like that could be a contributor to like people who have PTSD or like trauma issues where you have that like really heavily strong response. It's not always helpful. The fun thing about watercolor is you don't really want it to be super, super crazy in all spots. It's gonna kind of blend and move a little bit. That's okay. Some of the purposes that they believe the mirror neuron activities help with is like learning. Especially we are very, very social creatures, right? We live in packs, more or less. So understanding the social dynamic and where people stand is crucial to our success in a community. This pigment, the blue pigment, is not mixing quite as well. I mean, the pink one wasn't really so much either, so we're gonna have to wing it, and we're gonna have to see how it looks. If you piss Bob off at work, and Bob is in a mood, and you don't realize Bob is in a mood, you could end up in a fight. That would not be good. The mirror neurons can give us a heads up like, oh, hey, that angry face. We've made that face before when we were angry. Bob's probably angry. That also kind of gets our body kicked into gear. So now we know that Bob is feeling angry. We might also feel a little bit angry, which would be seemingly pointless, except for anger can also help your like adrenaline start going. And if you're about to get into a fight, it might be good to have that adrenaline going a little bit early so that your body can get the full effects of it. Now, if you're not going into a fight, it sucks. Or if you're trying to de-escalate, it might also not be so great. But, I mean, since when are our bodies perfect working machines from the get-go, you know? So now we can kind of see where it might come into play with our lives, right? This would make a really good way to do a galaxy eye as well. Oh, that looks so cool. Oh, I'm totally wearing this all day. Man, this was a really fast eye. Guess that means I have to add more, right? Because I'm a little extra today. So also, this is really, really good for physicality. So if you are learning movement, the mirror neurons help you learn movement better because your brain processes it as they're doing something. What is the neural pathway to do that same thing? So it's not like you physically practicing the movement, but if you watch somebody throw a ball, like I'm guessing this is a football. If you're watching somebody throw a football and you see like the shoulder movement, the arm movement, and the hand placement, your brain can start putting that together and be like, okay, I've never held a football before, but I see that you throw it this way as opposed to this way. So it kind of preps you preemptively before you actually try it. This kind of like watching before doing is used to help teach some stroke victims who have lost mobility how to do various movements again. So if they're having trouble lifting their arm, somebody might demonstrate, and I'm not a professional, so I don't know the exact pathway for this, but somebody might demonstrate like, okay, we're lifting our arm. So then the stroke victim might be like, okay, shoulder movement, elbow goes up. However their brain interprets that, it makes it easier for when they actually try it because the pathway is already being created in your brain even though you're not actively doing it. And with stroke victims, the biggest problem is that these neural pathways are getting all messed up and skewed, right? They're just not connecting the same way anymore. So these mirror neurons are key in regaining some of those pathways back because they're practicing. And practice makes it stronger. Now that I'm here with my eyes, we should do a little bit underneath too, right? Like we should do a little bit right there. I think I'm gonna do that blue, and that sky blue that's a little shimmery because, yeah, why not? So I've got that like shimmery blue on here, and I think I'm gonna take that in the corner where the pink is first, but underneath the eye. So I'm making that more of like my inner shine. So it's along the waterline on the bottom of my eye. Yeah. Oh, that's so pretty. Another really neat thing is because neurons don't just go with physical, but also go with emotional ties, they're being looked at in relation to various mental conditions or conditions that affect either social interactions or emotional interactions as well. So if you think about something like autism, where there is frequently, not always, like trouble recognizing social cues, the mirror neurons there might not be as on point as they are in somebody who is not diagnosed with autism. Okay, I'm going in with that baby pink kind of underneath and on the outer edge of my bottom waterline. So I just find all of this like super duper fascinating. I might also take some of the darker pink in here too, because the light pink is nice, but it's not as dramatic as I want it to be. Maybe add some of that darker pink in there. As we've kind of talked about before, there are ways to strengthen these connections as well. Practice. Practice is like the biggest thing. How do we practice that? We could do a couple different things. Things like theater classes. There's a whole ton of different acting techniques that deal with the link between the physical and the emotional. Things like meditation is really good for starting to strengthen those neural connectivity patterns. I'm not really 100% sure how, but it was listed on one of the articles. So I'm gonna go and start to go into my lips. So we'll see how much I can continue talking. I'm gonna go in with the red and mix that up. Oh, you can kind of see as well, like, You see the paint floating on top of the water? That's the dried pigment that didn't decide to sink. See if I can get, maybe if I dip my beauty blender in there, I can get it off the top. Sort of worked. Not all of it. Got some of the residual top stuff off. So with this red, I'm going in for the darkest and all the creasy spots and painting it as I would if I were painting like an actual painting. I mixed a little bit of that darker pink and a little bit of that lighter pink, similar to how I did under the eyes, and I dabbing it on my lips in the like bigger main areas. I guess we're going for like a berry stain kind of look. And I'm gonna do a little bit of the orange too. Sorry, it takes a while to mix the powder into the water. It doesn't always want to break down super quick. So for the orange, kind of dabbing it more at the outer edges of the lip, both at the top and the bottom. You can kind of see it's got a little bit more dimension than your standard like single lip color because it's watercolor. And I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna add a little bit more of that like bright hot pink, and I'm gonna try and get it very pigmented so it does that cool thing that this side of the eye did, which is where it makes that color line from the water and the paint. And I might have to go back in for the red because I've been talking a lot, and like go pump those inner lines up a little bit more. Okay, not gonna close my mouth yet, so you just gonna stare at it and going like this. Oh yeah, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's really hard to say E without closing your mouth. This guy, and my final seal. I spray my face, and then I tell you why. Because these are eyeshadow colors, and specifically because I put it on my mouth, they're gonna wear off really fast. It's not meant for a lot of wear and tear. So me using specifically the eyeshadow colors on my mouth can be problematic in that way. I'm also gonna go back through, after I've sprayed that, I'd create a barrier layer. I'm gonna mix my white, and I'm gonna try and create like nice little highlights and get a little bit on my lid as well, and then I might go back in with the yellow and then do another spray to set it. Got a little bit of the pink in it, so it's a little bit less like white. Not sure what the lip is doing, but it's okay. And then let's see if we can get some of the yellow. I don't know where the yellow is going yet. Next time you're feeling somebody else's anger, keep in mind like your brain is mirroring their activity, right? Oh yeah, top lip. That's where the yellow is going. But it might be a good idea to stop and like look at it as like a opportunity to say, oh, I know how they're feeling. I should help them maybe feel differently. Okay, let's maybe if I, right, yeah, okay, we're gonna use that yellow right at that transition between the blue and the pink, and then spray again. Oh, the spray gets in your hair. It's a very good hairspray as well. I'm gonna use NYX Epic Wear Waterproof Liner in white. Give it a nice little wing. And then I'm gonna pop a little bit of LA Girl Shockwave Neon Eyeliner in shade Fresh, bottom waterline. This is a really pretty like aqua light blue that I think will go really well with our fun watercolor. So I'm gonna take a black mascara, my Clinique High Impact Mascara, and I'm going to give myself some black eyelashes. And just to top it off, I'm gonna put a little bit of, I have a Sugar Rush Fresh Pressed, I think this is a gloss. I'm trying to figure out what this scent is. It's almost like slightly juicy, like a cherry juice with like a little bit of lemonade, or a lemonade with like a little bit of cherry in it. So, here we are. Okay, what did you guys think? Did you like it? I think this is really fun. I honestly, this turned out a lot more wearable than I thought it was going to, and I'm excited by it. So, thank you so much for sticking around with me today. Let me know what you think of Mirror Neurons down in the comments, because I thought they were really cool, and I look forward to hearing more about the science that comes out about them later. Keep in mind, with Mirror Neurons, they're saying basically what you surround yourself with, you're going to emulate, and vice versa. What you emulate, like, is going to affect the world around you. So be careful of who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with people who are constantly negative and down, that's going to increase your likelihood to be negative and down, just purely because of the mirroring neurons. So yeah, anyway, Like this video if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. Don't forget to ding that notification bell as well, because that's how you get notified that you're going to see more content. And I hope to see you here next Thursday. All right, Naps, it's been a joy seeing you. Have an awesome day. Bye.